Russos brand family. We are family.
You are now tuned into Generating Heat with JG and Ace, Episode 7. 5 stars for what? A Dave Meltzer burial. You have an email question, email us at generatingheat@gmail.com. Follow me on Twitter, please, at JG Has Heat. And we are ready to generate the heat right now.
Hello?
All right. Welcome in, Generating Heat. I'm your host, JG. I got with me my compadre, DJ Ace. What's up, man?
What's up, JG?
Oh, we got a lot to talk about today, man. This is episode 7 of Generating Heat. 5 stars for what is the name of this show. It's pretty much calling into question the Dave Meltzer 5-star rating system. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. I will give all the listeners out there a little bit of history on this 5-star match system. First, we're going to dig into. I will give you a little history about Dave Meltzer. You know, he was born 10 days after my mom on October 24th, 1959 in New York City. How old does that make this man? 58 years old, I do believe, correct?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Yeah, 58 years old. And he's an author. He's authored 2 books. He's a pro wrestling historian, and he calls himself a journalist. Oh, I'm not going to either go here and over there with that.
Yeah. Call himself is right.
Calls himself.
He's right.
Yeah, I know. But in 1980, he started a poll, a yearly poll, which in 1983 turned into the Wrestling Observer newsletter. And what this newsletter was is it was territorial in the California territory in LA and San Francisco, and he would write down the match results and send them out to other territories that had dirt sheets going on as well. His first print was in 1982. Now, at this time, he was also going to San Jose State University out in San Jose, California, and he started a tape trader business. Which I don't know if you know a lot about the tape traders or not. Tape traders before the internet. That's pretty much how it was before internet, before cable TV really started taking off. So that's how the different territories got their stuff out, was by these dirt sheet guys that started the tape trading businesses.
Okay.
Now, in this time when he was doing this, he got hooked up with somehow with Norman Dooley, who is a very close friend of Jim Cornette growing up. And they did the Louisville territory for the little dirt sheet writers or whatever. Now, in 1979, Jim Cornette and Dooley started their little dirt sheet thing in Louisville. And everybody else was doing it. And Jim Cornette said to Norman, he said, why don't you go ahead and give the matches, give a 4-star system going for the matches like they do, you know, for restaurants and movies and television shows and stuff like that. Right. Go ahead and attach your newsletter. Now, it was meant as a joke. It was just supposed to be a rib. They figured they'd do it a couple times, and inadvertently, it kind of caught on with Meltzer, and he took it to a whole other level. So, Weasel's World of Wrestling was the name of their newsletter. From 1979 to 1981, it was a 4-star thing, like I said.
Okay.
The first 5-star match that they ever gave was Jerry Lawler and Terry Funk on March 23rd, 1981 in the Mid-South territory, which, you know, every Monday night they ran the Mid-South Coliseum. Lawler did back in the day, and he sold it out just about every single Monday night. So all right. So yeah, as I was saying before, I was rudely interrupted. My bad about that.
That's all right.
What I was saying was, 1983 was the first 5-star match given by Cornette and Norman Dooley through the Weasel's World of Wrestling newsletter out of Louisville.
Right.
Now this was their criteria for their match system. The match had to be exciting. There had to be intensity. Great in-ring work. Crowd response. And a memorable angle, which a memorable angle happens outside of the ring just as much as it does inside of the ring, with the promos and the build-up to the match and things like that.
Right.
Now, when Meltzer took it over, he totally disregards anything like that. If you look at the history of it, of what he's done with 5-star matches and stuff. Now, like I said, Meltzer started the Wrestling Observer newsletter in 1982 was the first published. And it's gained a following ever since.
Right.
It became its own company in 2001. Now, on an average, from the day that he became a company until 2017, he has an annual income or an annual revenue of $110,624 through this newsletter. And if you divide that by 12, that is $9,218.60. Now, he charges between 11 and, depends on what kind of subscription you have. He charges between $11 and $12, or between $10 and $12 per month. So if you break that down, the $9,218.60, and divide that by 11, you get $838 or $838. So on an average, from 2001 until 2017, he has a average following of 838 people, which, I mean, that's good. Don't get me wrong. He's a very good businessman, and I'm not knocking the guy's business sense whatsoever in anything that I say here. And this is not a personal attack on Dave Meltzer. It's just bringing into question some of his logics and his rating system.
Right.
Now, for 838 people, this guy has got the wrestling world by the balls. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Now, the reason why I say this is because let's dig into some of his match rankings here. Okay, are you following me?
Yeah, I'm following.
All right. This guy, this is his highest ranked match of all time out of any wrestling anywhere in the world from 1983 on, anyways. Because I didn't dig back any further than that because I just started when the newsletter started. But he's went back and ranked matches in the 50s and 60s and 70s since the newsletter came about. But I didn't dig back that far. I just dug back until he actually started. Now, his best match of all time came last year, June 11th, 2017, at the New Japan Dominion show, and it was Okada and Omega 2. He gave that a match rating of 6.25 stars, the highest rating he's given any wrestling match in the history of the world. That's not all. It gets even better, dude.
6.25 stars.
6.25 stars.
On a 5-star scale.
On a 5-star scale. Now, he is ranked.
Possible? All right, I'm back.
So this guy, on 4 of his top 5 matches all time, he has Kenny Omega in 4 of them. So let's go ahead and break this down for me, Ace. What do you think about this?
Out of all the wrestlers in the world, granted, yes, Kenny Omega, yes, is a great wrestler.
He is definitely. I'm not taking any wrestlers that we talk about on this podcast. We are not taking anything away from their work. We are not taking anything away from them at all. This is strictly an indictment on Meltzer. Go ahead.
But I mean, out of the millions and millions of outstanding performers out there, New Japan, Ring of Honor, WWE, TNA, and I mean, we can sit here all day long and call out Lucha Libre. We can sit there and call off different brands all day, every day. But I mean, it's multiple. It's many performers out there that has had excellent matches that this man is not giving credit where credit is due. I mean, if you're gonna say, okay, well, my top 4 is Kenny Omega, then I mean, is Kenny Omega paying you to say, hey, these are the greatest matches of all time, or what is Kenny Omega one of your subscribers? And or what? I mean, me and you, I mean, we sit down, we watch the network as well as New Japan and all these other brands out here, and I mean, I know offhand I can call off some matches that on his 5-star scale, since he's given Kenny Omega 6.25 stars on a 5-point scale, that I can give 10 stars to on a 5-star scale. So I mean, to me, I'm just don't sound right with that.
Now it's funny that you mentioned, a lot of the today's performers possibly being subscribers of his included in the 838 or 938, however many we said. And we're going to circle back around to that later on in the broadcast, because that's a great point that you're making right there. I'm going to make that point a little more for you. Okay, so we've discussed the 6-star matches and the 5.25 star match, the top 5 of all time. Now, so far in 2018, this man has already given out 6 matches a 5-star rating.
6 matches in 2018 with a 5-star rating already.
So far, yes. And those matches, go ahead.
Which matches?
All right. So far, we have the ladder match, the North American Championship ladder match at NXT TakeOver New Orleans. We have Johnny Gargano against Tommaso Ciampa, also at NXT TakeOver New Orleans. We have Will Ospreay and Marty Scurll at New Japan's Genesis show on April the 1st. Now, if you'll remember, I don't know if you saw the clip of this or not, but this is the match where they did a Spanish fly off the apron, and Will Ospreay actually hit the back of his head on the apron as they're doing the Spanish fly, and almost messed himself up real bad and ended his career. He was very, very lucky that it did another half a centimeter one way or the other, and he might have snapped his neck.
Right, yeah, I remember seeing that clip.
All right. And then as Strong Style evolved on March 25th, the Golden Lovers, which involves Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi, and the Young Bucks. So that's 4. And then in NXT TakeOver Philadelphia, we had Andrade Cien Almas and Johnny Gargano. And the last one, and this is the one that I actually agree with on this whole list that we've talked about so far, is Omega and Jericho at Wrestle Kingdom 12.
Right. I mean, I can agree with that one, but
okay, so we've talked about 11 matches so far. Not one of his 11 all-time great matches involves the main roster of WWE.
Right. Out of all of those people, only one that we've called off has ever been a main eventer in WWE.
Yeah.
And that's Jericho.
Jericho, that's it. Jericho. Yeah. So we have matches on here from NXT, who is the AAA system for the WWE, and he's giving them 5 stars.
Right.
So that just covers what, 4.5 months of 2018.
Right.
Now in 2017, he had 6 5-star matches for the entire year. 2 of them were in a indie promotion called Pro Wrestling Guerrilla. Have you heard of these guys out in California?
Yeah, I've heard of them.
Yeah. So he gives 2 5-star matches out of this. And this one of them is a guy that I've never heard of named Walter against Zack Sabre Jr. And another one is a possible NXT recruit coming up. His name's Keith Lee against Donovan Disick, which I have no idea who that is either.
Yeah, I haven't heard that one. I've heard about the Keith Lee guy.
And the other 4 were all in New Japan.
So does this guy have like a grudge against the main roster of WWE?
It seems like he's got an axe around there. That's for sure.
Because I mean, a lot of granted, okay, and I know a lot of people are going to argue, where he is, listing WWE superstars, but I mean, the main roster and basically the farm league for WWE, I mean, it's different. It's not, it's not the same thing. I mean, it's like, the farm league for baseball. I mean, these guys get signed on to WWE, get in NXT, and that's as far as they go. They don't, have what it takes to become a main superstar.
Exactly. Now, like I said, he had 4 in New Japan for 2017. In 2016, he gave 4 5-star matches for the entire year. One was in Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, a 6-man tag team match. He gave a 5-star rating to a 6-man tag team.
A 5-star rating to a 6-man tag team.
Yeah. It was the Young Bucks and Adam Cole, which Adam Cole was part of the Bullet Club at that time.
Right. Which, okay, I agree with Adam Cole. I mean, that's, that's a household name.
And he did this. They went against Matt Sydal, who was Evan Bourne in WWE. Ricochet, who's in NXT right now, was in the ladder match that got 5 stars also. And Will Ospreay.
Okay.
And then you go down to he had 3 in New Japan. Yeah, Omega and Naito, Ishii and Okada and Tanahashi. And then in 2015, he had 3 for the entire year. All of them were in New Japan. You had Tanahashi versus Nakamura.
Okay, so Nakamura. Okay, that's a good one.
You had Ishii versus Hana. And then Nakamura versus Kota Ibushi.
Okay, so we still have. I mean, he really hasn't established the fact that, yes, I feel like he got something against WWE. I mean, the name, because he had, everybody is either was been in WWE or, with the exception of Shinsuke now. I mean, that he's there now, but apparently he's not watching WWE getting, giving ratings to their matches. Because I mean, granted, yes, some of their matches, okay, we've established some of their matches like, it's boring, but it is some great matches out there. I mean, that deserves, his 6 stars on a 5-star scale.
Yeah. Now, guys, listening to this podcast, I want to let y'all know that you need to go and sign up for the Realm Network, russosbrand.com. It's less than $1 a week, and you get a bunch of great programming and all that. Castrated the Marks, which is a great show. That's pretty much where this show is, what this show is spinning off of right here. And so, yeah, make sure you go to russobrand.com, sign up for the Realm Network, and also make sure that you stick with us to the end of this podcast, because I know we're running through a lot of information into your heads right now, but I promise you at the end of this, you will get why it needs to be broken down like this. Just hang with us. We got you. All right, so, and then we get to the year 2014, where there was only one 5-star match recorded for the entire year, and that was in New Japan. It was Tanahashi against Shibata. 2013, we had 3 in New Japan. 2 of them were Okada versus Tanahashi, and the third one was Ishii and Shibata. Jesus, that's a mouthful.
Yeah.
2012, he gave out 2. One was in New Japan. It was Tanahashi and Suzuki. And the second one was in Ring of Honor. Davey Richards and Michael Elgin. And then we get to 2011. There was one 5-star match in 2011, and finally, we have a WWE match on this 5-star scale. And it happened 7 years ago. Money in the Bank WWE Championship between CM Punk and John Cena. Okay. Which was a great match, don't get me wrong. It was probably a 5-star match. But we went 7 years. And I think around 30 matches of 5-star ratings or higher before we got to a WWE match on this list.
Right.
Wow. That's all I can say is wow. Now, from 2007 until 2010, he didn't give out a 5-star rating in any promotion anywhere. And then we get to 2006. There was a Ring of Honor 6-man tag featuring all Japanese wrestlers that he gave a 5-star match to. In 2005, there was 2 5-star matches. Ring of Honor had Samoa Joe versus Kobayashi, or Kabashi, however you say that. And the second one was in TNA, a triple threat match between AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, and Samoa Joe. So Samoa Joe actually, in 2006, or in 2005, 2 different promotions he performed a 5-star match for in the eyes of Dave Meltzer. And I can tell you that I watched this AJ Daniels and Samoa Joe triple threat live when it happened. And it was decent, but it wasn't a 5-star match. There wasn't much. Christopher Daniels, they just kind of threw in there as a third person.
Right.
The main match was AJ and Samoa Joe.
Right.
So then we go to 2004. He gave out 2 5-star matches. One in Ring of Honor, Samoa Joe versus CM Punk, which, my God, I'd love to see that match now. And number 2 was in Pro Wrestling Noah between Kenta, who Kenta is now Hideo Itami, and he's on 205 Live, and Yun Akamaya. 2003, we had Pro Wrestling Noah having the only 5-star match in the world between Kenta and Misawa. 2002, 2001, and 2000, there were 0 5-star matches. In 1999 and 1998, there was 1 5-star match apiece, both in All Japan, and both were featuring Misawa and Kawada. 1997, we had 5. 2 of them were in All Japan, a tag team match. And then WWE had 2. Shawn Michaels and Undertaker Hell in a Cell at In Your House Bad Blood. And Bret Hart Stone Cold at WrestleMania 13, which I gotta say that both of these matches are a lot better than a lot of these matches that he's said so far.
Yeah.
And then the 5th one was in New Japan. El Samurai versus Komodo. 1996, we had 3. 2 of them were in All Japan. 1 in ECW. It was the Rey Mysterio Juventud Guerrera 2 out of 3 falls match. That was an awesome classic match. That's the one where Ray did a Hurricane Rana off the hood of a car. You can go back on the network and check that out. It's really awesome. 1995, there was 3 in All Japan, all of them. 1994, there was 4, 1 in All Japan. 1 was a WCW and a AAA cross promotion tag team match, a mask versus hair. It was El Hijo del Santo and Octagon beating Eddie Guerrero and Art Barr. And Art Barr had to shave his head.
Right.
There was also 2 in WWE for that 1994. You had WrestleMania 10, Razor, Ramon, Shawn Michaels ladder match, of course. And then at SummerSlam, it was Brett and Owen in a steel cage.
Okay.
That match was okay, but it does not deserve a 5-star, let me tell you.
Well, a lot of these don't that he's called out didn't deserve a 5-star. I mean, it's like basically he skipped the whole apparently Attitude Era with the exception of 2 matches.
Yeah, he was not a fan of the Attitude Era at all.
I mean,
1993, we had 3. 2 of them were in All Japan. 1 was in Smoky Mountain Wrestling. They had a War Games match down there.
Didn't they close up?
Yeah, this was during their heyday, though. This was right after Cornette got done in WCW. He went and started Smoky Mountain, and they had their own little War Games match. You have to go check it out on the network. I'll have to go check it out on the network because I've never seen it either. I know that the Rock and Roll Express and the Midnight Express were involved, and the Heavenly Bodies. 1992, he gave us 2 5-star matches. It was the WCW War Games match with the Dangerous Alliance. It had Steve Austin, Larry Zbyszko, Arn Anderson, and who else? A few others in it. It was against the Road Warriors. Or no, it was against Nikita Koloff. Yeah, Nikita Koloff, Sting, Dustin Rhodes, and a couple other people. 1991, there was 2, or that's what we just did. My bad. 1990, there was 1 in All Japan. 1989, there was 4. 3 of them were Flair versus Steamboat throughout the year in the NWA. 1 was in All Japan. 1988, there was 1 in All Japan, a tag team match featuring Terry Gordy. 1987, there was 2, both of them in the NWA. 1 of them at the Great American Bash War Games, and another was a Crockett Cup final between Flair and Barry Windham. 1986, he had 2, 1 in the NWA, the Sheep Herders, who people at WWF fame, they were the Bushwhackers against Bobby Fulton and Tommy Rogers. And then 1 in the Global Wrestling Federation between Barry Windham and Ric Flair. 1985, he gave us 1 out of All Japan, Tiger Mask versus Kobayashi. 1984, the UWF had the only 5-star match, but it was a show in Tokyo.
Once again, back to Japan.
Once again. And then 1983, he gave us 1 5-star match. It was Tiger Mask versus Dynamite Kid, which I actually went and saw this on New Japan World a few weeks ago, and it was a good match. I agree with that 5-star rating for that. All right, so are you ready for the breakdown by federations?
Yeah.
All right. You're not gonna believe this. Number 1 came in New Japan, has 22 5-star matches and above. Number 2 is All Japan with 15. Number 3 is the NWA/WCW with 9. Number 4 is the WWE. Number 5 is Ring of Honor. Number 6, NXT and Pro Wrestling Guerrilla tied with 3. Number 7, Pro Wrestling Noah had 2. And then the UWF, Smoky Mountain, GWF, TNA, and ECW all had 1. From 1983 to 2002, there was 37 5-star matches.
37 that he gave out?
Yeah, from 1983 to 2002. But then, from 2011 until 2018, there was 30. So you go 19 years, and you have 37 5-star matches. And then in 7 years, you give us another 30, plus 4 that were over 5-star matches.
Right.
I mean, can you imagine this, dude? Like, I just don't get it.
I don't
get it. Now, are you ready for another little history lesson real quick?
Yeah, I guess.
Guys, strap in for this one too. I looked up the PWI, which is the Pro Wrestling Insider. Bill Apter is the publisher of that. And if you have ever called anybody a wrestling journalist, Bill Apter is the guy.
Yes, he is.
Bill Apter was started in the business by Bruno Sammartino, rest in peace.
Yes.
And there's a reason why that he did this. So, by looking at his rankings, the top 500 of all time, I just took the top 50. And I'm going to name you off some names here. Hulk Hogan.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm going to run through these names one more time for you.
Okay. I know we got Hogan.
Yeah, we got Hogan. We got Andre the Giant, Antonio Inoki, Bob Backlund, Harley Race, Bruiser Brody, Sting, Roddy Piper, Nick Bockwinkel, Lex Luger, Kerry Von Erich, The Giant Bomber, Jimmy Superfly Snuka, Ricky Kashu, The $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, Sergeant Slaughter, Pero Aguayo, Carlos Colon, Mick Foley, Rick Martel, Paul Orndorff, and the magnificent Don Morocco. Now that is 22 names, 22 of the top 50 names in the history of our business, according to the Pro Wrestling Illustrated top 500 list that have never received a 5-star rating.
Right.
Now, what's one thing that most of these guys have in common?
Most of them you called off are all Hall of Famers.
Yeah, they're all Hall of Famers.
WWE.
These guys, they put butts in the seats, man.
Right.
These are the guys that people pay money to come see. The larger-than-life characters. They sold out arenas all around the globe for different federations and territories. Now, here's where we start to get around to today's wrestler. If you're today's wrestler and you've been a subscriber to the Wrestling Newsletter all your life, what is it that you want to try to accomplish?
Well, I'm putting butts in seats. I mean, and of course, making a name for yourself.
Yeah. But how do they think that they have to do it?
Right. I mean, sacrifices. It's a lot, but mainly the fact that they sacrifice a whole lot of their time, and now with their wellness policies and stuff, they can't do steroids and stuff that some of the wrestlers did back in the day. I mean,
but do you think that a lot of them are after the 5-star ratings more than they're after the money?
It really depends on who it is. Most of them there, are definitely for the money. I mean,
because this is
living is it's more about the money that they're getting paid, and actually putting leaving, like they said, the blood, sweat, and tears in the ring.
Now these are guys that have been confirmed as subscribers to the newsletter. You have the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Flip Gordon, Finn Balor, Sami Callihan, Will Ospreay, Marty Scurll, Seth Rollins, and Daniel Bryan. Now these guys, this is a point that I was trying to make. These guys have been subscribed to the newsletter. They see all these guys in Japan and smaller federations getting 5-star matches to put 500 butts in seats. They're looking at a Hogan. They're looking at a Andre. They're looking at Harley Race, Sting, Piper. They're love out of Dave Meltzer growing up.
Right.
So what are they going to try to do for their career? They think that the be-all and end-all is Dave Meltzer. They're going to do everything that they can in their power to get Dave Meltzer's 5-star rating. They don't care whether they get hurt. They don't care if they land on the back of their head doing some of these crazy flips and stuff. They don't know how to work an angle. That word come back to you, angle. They don't know how to work an angle because Dave Meltzer does not put overworking angles in his 5-star system. That's why they feel that the only way to work and the only way to get over with a crowd is to go out there and be spot monkeys.
Right.
So, they are, in my opinion, And it's not really opinion. The facts are right here. That they are working to get noticed by Meltzer. How many injuries do you remember seeing growing up and in the Attitude Era? And there weren't a lot of major injuries going on. I mean, yeah, from time to time, injuries do happen. But do you remember going into WrestleMania and 5 of your top stars are injured?
No,
Except for in the last recent years.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time they had more than, maybe 1 or 2, maybe. But I mean, even, this new thing that they're trying to put over by, having a championship belt on a part-time performer. I mean, it's like it doesn't make sense at all.
I mean, the thing is, they just don't know how to work. They don't know how to work a crowd. They don't know how to invoke emotion.
Right.
All they know how to do is to go out there and they're looking for the "this is awesome chants." You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's killing their bodies. And
it is killing their bodies, and it's killing, the crowd, because why? I mean, it's it's big names out there like Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns and all these guys who's out there, but it even with that putting your belt on a part-time performer, I mean, that's the same thing as just like you just said with not having them not working the crowd,
yeah.
Bring the emotion back. Granted, you can't go back to the Attitude Era, but give us great matches. Give us great matches where people be like, "Oh man, I'm hyped. I can't wait to tune into Raw next week, or I can't wait to tune into SmackDown next week."
Give us great stories.
Right.
The match, yes, the match has to be good also, but give us a great story. Tell a great story in the ring. A great story in the ring is not doing 500 super kicks. It's not doing Spanish flies off the apron and about killing yourself.
Right.
It's invoking the emotion of the crowd. And everyone, whether they're going to go over or whether they're going to job out in the match, they are worried about getting their stuff in each and every time out there.
Right.
And that's in the old days, it wasn't like that either. Now, I'm not trying to sound like Jim Cornette and going on back in the old days and stuff like that. But there's a point to be made with that, because every night in and night out, they are working to get their stuff in because they think that that's what entertains the crowd, because that is what Dave Meltzer has put into their head with his 838 subscriptions.
Yep.
So that is the crowd that they are pandering to. They are catering to a marked crowd of 838. And this is the reason why Dave Meltzer's 5-star rating system is killing the business.
Yeah.
And it's going down more and more each and every week.
Right.
But you have all these marks out here that say that business is better than ever. Well, when's the last time you saw a sold-out crowd at Raw or SmackDown?
What? Probably
besides WrestleManias and the ones attached to the pay-per-views because they have a package deal in them and stuff like that.
Right. Well, probably here recently, Raw 25?
Raw 25 was a packed house because it was a special show.
Right.
But these are
that. I mean, I can't recall. I mean, it's been a long time.
The further we get away from WrestleMania, the more empty those arenas are going to be, and before you know it, the tarp's going to be back on the top half again, just like it was going into WrestleMania.
Yep.
And the three guys in WWE that draw a house, that you put them on the card, you put them in a marquee match, and they're going to sell some tickets. There's four now that Daniel Bryan's back. And I will give you Daniel Bryan. Everybody wants to be the next Daniel Bryan, and the problem is there ain't going to be no next Daniel Bryan.
Right.
The little guys that get over like that come once in a million. It's not going to happen again. The guys that are in a marquee match and sell out buildings are Brock, John Cena, and Roman Reigns. And who do the marks hate the most? Brock, John Cena, and Roman Reigns.
Yep. Which,
interesting, yeah.
It is interesting. I mean, I kind of dislike Brock Lesnar, but that's more of because, I have a problem with a part-time performer being a champion, instead of giving it to the guys that's out there running up and down the road, day in, day out, week in, week out, not one who might show up to Raw this week and then be gone for another 4, 5, 6 weeks and then show up again. And then, only really show up every week when it's right there at, a pay-per-view coming in.
But when he shows up.
Yeah, but when he shows up right now, yes, that's.
When he shows up, the people show up. I think he loses. I think he loses appeal if he shows up every week. Don't you think?
He probably would, but, at the same time, just like, the whole Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar thing, I kind of feel, the same thing, because, in the Attitude Era, it was a big deal about, part-time performers being champions, because they had the names that would, sell out arenas no matter what, the Shawn Michaels, the Stone Cold Steve Austins, the Undertaker, The Rock. I mean, you had big names out there that would sell out arenas, whether it was just, this one person or whatever. I mean, they could sell out arenas. And now you relying on 3 to 4 people selling out arenas.
And that is because of why they know how to tell a story in the ring and out of the ring. Exactly. Now, I'm going to give you a list of NXT names who have failed. And these are the NXT name. These people in NXT, there's a lot of them are still on the roster today, don't get me wrong. And they're still making a good living. But judging by the mark audience at the Full Sail University, all of these people should have been the second coming. And it just wasn't the case once it hit the main roster. You have Neville, Sami Zayn, Bo Dallas, Bayley, Sasha, to an extent, Samoa Joe and Finn Balor.
Well, Samoa Joe definitely. I mean, he's failed since he's been there. I mean, he called Roman Reigns a failure this week, but I mean, truth be told, like Samoa Joe, did you not look at the fact that you failed a whole lot more you've been there than what Roman has failed?
Then you also have Becky Lynch, Adam Rose, Hideo Itami / Kenta, whatever you want to call him, who's stuck in 205 Live right now. Mid-carding in 205 Live.
Right.
And The Ascension. The Ascension could have been big. Don't get me wrong. WWE dropped the ball on them when they first came up.
Yep. They went from being good or could have been great to being a joke.
Now, let me give you a list of names. And if you remember their NXT runs, they weren't so great. But I'm going to give you a list of names that are thriving on the main roster right now and are set up in key stories or are about to break out or have already reached the top. You have Alexa Bliss.
Okay.
She never held the NXT Women's Championship. She was never pushed in NXT. She was a manager for the most part in NXT.
NXT, yeah.
Yeah, Charlotte. The NXT crowd didn't really get behind Charlotte when she first got there. Elias. They hated Elias in NXT. Thought that he would be out the door.
Yeah, they kind of hate him now too, but
that's the marks.
Yeah.
He's getting reactions.
Yeah.
Baron Corbin, who has just been drafted to Raw and is getting ready to be put in a pretty upper card showdown. I'm not going to spoil it, but I actually know him a little bit, and we've already talked about it. Yeah, the entire Wyatt family with Bray and the Bludgeon Brothers have all been mainstays on the roster. They weren't nothing in NXT.
Yeah, Braun Strowman too.
Braun Strowman didn't even hit NXT TV because they didn't want the NXT fans to ruin him. And then you have Nia Jax, who the fans were not behind in NXT at all.
Yeah, at all. Yeah, no. I mean, there's a lot of people actually that don't like Nia Jax, but yeah. I mean, I'm one that, I mean, as far as women right now, and what we have to choose from, since she hit the main, on WWE, the main roster, I've been one that's like, why are they screwing this girl over? And, finally got her belt at WrestleMania, and I know from one of the earlier podcasts we did, I actually called that one that she would win that belt then. So
yeah,
I'm really glad that they're finally using her, giving her that opportunity.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, the NXT universe, the Full Sail crowd, they are full of Meltzer marks.
Right.
And it shows. It shows by who flops when they get to the roster, and it shows who thrives when they get to the roster and who gets put in key spots. Right. You just got to look at the evidence is right there. And all this is because of 838 subscribers per month.
Exactly.
Meltzer is a great businessman, and he is a great Don't get me wrong. He's made a very good living for himself doing what he does. But my God, this 5-star rating is killing the business. The viewership ratings will continue to plummet further and further in the toilet. The more and more marks that get into the business that have been reading the Wrestling Observer newsletter. The WWE has to stay reliant on the part-timers like Brock Lesnar and John Cena and Chris Jericho and Undertaker. They have to keep pulling names from the past.
Right.
Because nobody that's there now can sell a ticket.
Right. And that's why, of course, that's why they keep, bringing, the Shelton Benjamins, Rhino, possibly
Mickey
Rey
James.
Mysterio, Mickey James.
Yeah.
I mean,
They have to keep relying.
the Hardy Boys.
The Hardy Boys. Hurricane came back for Christ's sake.
I mean, you bringing back guys and girls from the Attitude Era just to sell tickets now. How sad is that?
Triple H has to keep getting in the ring.
Right.
Stephanie McMahon has to keep getting in the ring. Shane McMahon has to keep getting in the ring.
Right.
And they have to be part of major lines because these guys today,
for that matter. I mean,
Kurt Angle, yes, and they have to keep being put into major storylines because of these wrestlers today cannot work, and they cannot work because they are going for Meltzer stars in every match that they do.
Yep.
Speaking of Triple H, he put over Meltzer actually on a conference call for his role in the Andre the Giant documentary, which I thought was absolutely shameful. He essentially is catering to the marks by doing this, though. All 838 of them. Because I'm not even sure he knows that that's how little that number is.
Yeah, he probably doesn't.
So I'm telling you, as long as there's a 5-star match system, as long as there's a Wrestling Observer newsletter, the business is going to go into the tank. And Ace, what do you think about all the information I've provided for everybody today?
I mean, it's mind blowing because if you don't sit down and think about it, you're sitting there and you got a lot of information that's just not, is out there. I mean, I didn't sit there and think about, hey, he's only pulling in this amount of money each year, which granted, yes, 100,000 is a lot, but you're only making that off of 800 subscribers. So,
now that number could.
Hello? All right, I'm back.
So I was sitting here and I was just naming off. I'm bigger than most of the wrestlers on the roster, or really in the business today. There's a few, Big Cass, Big Show. Me and Brock Lesnar are the same size. Actually, I'm a little bit bigger than him, I think. But he's definitely more of a badass. Don't get me wrong. That's about all I can think of right off the top of my head. Baron Corbin, he's a little bit taller than I am. He's got me by an inch or two. But yeah, that's about all the people in the business today that are either as big or bigger than I am. Everybody else is small.
Yeah,
and
I can tell because I know I made that statement the other day about that Braun Strowman match the other night when they matched him up against Sin Cara, and I'm like, whatever happened to
you mean Samoa Joe?
Cruiserweight, going against cruiserweights and heavyweights going against heavyweights.
It's hard to even freaking
that he could beat.
It's hard to even freaking tell who's a cruiserweight and who's not these days because all of them look like cruiserweights to me. just about.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And it's, wrestling's supposed to be, the attractions in wrestling are the larger than life characters.
Right.
That you can also, live vicariously through.
Right.
It just doesn't do it for me. And it's like, whenever I get this information, and I've researched this information a lot today and yesterday, it blows my freaking mind that the wrestling business is going into the crapper for 838 average subscribers per month.
Yeah.
It's mind blowing. Well, you got any last words you'd like to say before we get off here?
No. Like I said, they definitely got to come up with a better way to I guess write the storylines and stuff to keep people tuned in without having to pull a lot of these older guys that's in their 50s and 60s just to sell tickets. I mean,
yeah. And I want to say, Dave Meltzer, I'm giving you an open invite to come on this broadcast, come on the Generating Heat broadcast, and we can have a discussion about anything that I've brought up that you might consider wrong, or you might consider not exactly right. But I'm gonna give you the index of where I've came up with all of this information from. All this information came from your very own Wikipedia page, which was last updated by you on April the 12th. I also got it from the Wrestling Observer newsletter, which was also updated by you on April the 14th. I got it from JimCornette.com, the International Wrestling Database, BuzzFile.com, and the PWI 500. So if any information that I said is not factual, come on the show and we will discuss it. I have all the evidence that I need, and all the listeners, I hope, have all the evidence that they need too. And I want to make sure that y'all are following this podcast. Go click favorite. We got a bunch more coming at you just like this. I have some interviews lined up, one with Sonny Ono, one with Gary Michael Capata, one with Mikey Ripwreck. We're going to get it going. And also with Valentine from America's Got Talent. He's a huge wrestling fan, and he's going to be coming on with us as well. He just had a new baby over WrestleMania weekend, so congratulations to Valentine. Ace, you want to plug anything?
Just, definitely make sure you, like you said, follow, this podcast, but you can follow me on Twitter at DJ_Ace_O_Soul. And old is just OL.
If you guys have any questions or comments about the podcast, please drop us an email at generatingheat@gmail.com. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at JGHasHeat. I've got some things in the works that could perk all the fans of the podcast, which the numbers are growing immensely. This is by far the highest rated podcast that I've ever done, and I've been in the game for 6 years with different variety of things. This podcast is blowing the numbers away as of right now, and we appreciate you for that. Keep them coming. Just make sure you click that favorite button so that you get notifications of when a new podcast is dropped. And also make sure you go to the Realm Network and sign up for the Vince Russo brand at russobrand.com. We had a little issue getting on the Russo family channel. Actually, I don't think it's going to work because we've already got higher numbers than we don't really need them. So I'm going to start us up our own YouTube here very shortly. So when that happens, go ahead and like us on there. But make sure you go to the Realm Network and support Vince at the RussoBrand.com. It's less than $1 a week. Ace, I appreciate you coming on with me.
Yeah, anytime. And by the way, just so you know, the Russo brand, it's great information. It's great podcast. I've had a chance, and there with him. I've had a chance to listen in on some of their shows and some of their information, and it's very informative. I mean, for less than $1 a week or $3.95 a month, it's well worth it.
Yes, and let me give you a quick rundown of all the shows. On Monday, you have Getting Color with Big Vito. Y'all remember Big Vito from WCW and ECW and a little bit in WWE back in the day. But yeah, Big Vito, Getting Color, he talks about everything on that show, not just wrestling. On Tuesday, they usually drop a show called Bucket Full of Chicken Necks, which is Vince and usually one of his family members, his dad, his son, and they talk no wrestling hardly at all on that broadcast. Wednesdays is the Raw and SmackDown review with Stevie Richards, Ben Hameen, Jeff Lane, and Vince. Thursdays is Castrating the Marks with Russo and Jeff Lane. And Friday is Lions, Tigers, Bears, and Disco with the incomparable Disco Inferno, Jeff Lane, and Vince Russo. You like controversy, that's the show you need to listen to right there. Also, check out the Conspiracy Horsemen. They talk about all kinds of conspiracies, theories going on in the world. The last one that I caught was about UFOs. It was really good. If you like, explicit content, check out the Super Ugly Show with my boy Rocky. I love that show right there. It's a Super Ugly Show. And if you're a reality fiend, a reality show fiend, check out Vito's wife, Noelle LaGrasso, and her group of ladies on Spilling the Reality. A bunch of ladies, good-looking ladies, sitting around, dissing and talking about everything that's going on the reality shows. So that's the lineup for RussosBrand.com. Less than $1 a week. You get all of those shows every single week. And Ace, I'll tell you, it's been fun, man. I appreciate you sticking with me through all this. And guys, remember, Dave Meltzer, 838 average subscribers from 2001 until 2017. That is what the wrestling business has become. And for DJ Ace, I'm JG, and we out here. Peace.
Peace.
The podcast you just heard was recorded with Anchor. If you want to make your own, download the Android or iOS app completely free from anchor.fm/podcast. That's anchor.fm/podcast.